Now, just to start with, now OBOR is considered to be the project of the century by the Chinese, and loads of money has been put into that, and Sri Lanka has always been a part of it. Now, from a Chinese perspective, how important is OBOR to Chinese economically as well as politically? How do you describe the importance?
Yeah, I think the One Belt One Road initiative is supposed to become the new driver for China's economic growth. And nowadays, China's economy has entered the so-called new normal. And new normal not only means a slower growth rate, but also means China has to transform its old export-oriented model. And now China's population is aging, and China is losing its competitive edge in labor-intensive industry. So in the future, consumption, services, and also outbound investment are going to become the new engines of China's economic growth. So hopefully, the One Belt One Road initiative will enable China to achieve a more balanced and sustainable economic development. And the initiative will link China's poorest and least developed region with other major economic zones, including South Asia and Southeast Asia, and also the Middle East. And also, it will create a new market for Chinese industries. Now, some of the industries faced by the overcapacity problem, and so that's why the new market is very important. So that
now, when a big project like OBOR comes in, there's a political and foreign policy element to that also. And when Sri Lanka deals with the OBOR, Sri Lanka has a big neighbor, India, which is not a part of the OBOR. So now Sri Lanka is part of the OBOR. How does Sri Lanka would tackle possible geopolitical challenges that could arise due to this scenario?
Yeah, I think now Sri Lanka is pursuing a balanced foreign policy and try to balance the influence of China and India, and also Japan and the US and also the European Union. I think that's very good. I know that there are many concerns in Sri Lanka that whether China is going to cultivate its own sphere of influence. So I am thinking China's entering into the game actually offer or gave Sri Lanka counterweight. So the Sri Lanka can use this to make a better deal with other major powers. And I will take Thailand as one example. And Thailand is a treaty ally of the US. And at the same time, Thailand is also maintaining a very good relationship with China. And also, nowadays, both Chinese corporation and Japanese corporation are building high-speed rail in Thailand. So Thailand is able to take the advantage of competition between China and Japan, and to make better deals, to get loans from China with lower interest rate. So I think actually China's entry into the game gave Sri Lanka more autonomy rather than pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you brought the discussion into a very important point where how Sri Lanka can capitalize the Chinese presence, which is something that has not been focused very much in recent past. So looking at it from now, vast amount of infrastructure projects are funded by China throughout last decade. In going forward, do you think that this dynamics would change as the US and India might comes in competing with China?
Oh, okay. I think China has the capital and expertise in building infrastructure, and also for Sri Lanka, I think this is a huge opportunities for economic development. But one thing I want to emphasize is, I think infrastructure is very important, but it is only a necessary condition for economic development, and but not a sufficient condition. So to achieve economic growth, you need other conditions, such as better education or technology, something else. So I think Sri Lanka can capitalize on China's Belt and Road initiative, and at the same time, it should also open the window for other countries and to capitalize on the other options provided by maybe India and the US and Japan. So I hope all those major powers can contribute to the economic development of Sri Lanka.
OBOR opens up a lot of avenues for foreign direct investment. There's a whole lot of money in OBOR. As a country, Sri Lanka, what Sri Lanka needs to do to attract more and more investment, what reforms that are needed, what kind of a skilled labor that we require, and etc.
I think first of all, we need a policy continuity, stable policy environment. This is very important. Taking China as an example, and China is building infrastructure here. And for the construction of infrastructure, usually it takes a long time. So that means a stable policy environment is very important. And if there is no continuity in foreign policy, so that can cause economic losses for Chinese corporations. And another thing is for Sri Lanka to achieve high-speed economic growth, first you need to make the decision, and then the policy should be implemented effectively. And also, Sri Lanka should invest more on education, and we need a very skilled labor force, and the employees should be able to speak English or Chinese even better. So that's how the local society can benefit from China's investment. And now I know a lot of people, they worry that the Chinese corporation will bring Chinese labor to Sri Lanka. But I think for Chinese corporations to bring Chinese employees to Sri Lanka, that means higher costs. So if Sri Lanka is able to offer more skilled workers, I think the Chinese corporations are willing to hire Sri Lankans.
So there's opportunity of much more employment also along with
yes.
OBR if we go ahead with proper skilled labor and proper language skills.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor, for your time.